Like I said, it made me stupid and stuff. And not only that, like I said, I was mentioning, like I said, I know I was rude to my parents during that time, during that relationship too, because I was always talked down on, like, talk back about them, and being just very disrespectful. And during that time too, I was pretty much kissing up the girls' parents' ass cheeks, pretty much because of I wanted to be accepted and stuff. And thinking about it now, I should have never done that. I should never have put myself in that situation whatsoever to people who couldn't respect me, who always, look down on me, always, think the worst of me, saying that I was evil and stuff, saying that I'm the devil, saying that I'm a demon, I'm a monster, or calling me negative names, that family. And not only that, their whole family, just didn't like me in general. Just because I like whether I listen to rock or I might talk recklessly and be negative and stuff. But in the end, it's like I'm still a person as well. I might talk recklessly and be negative, but at the same time, I'm still a kid who had, his life and I haven't fully developed yet. And like I said, that's something I do regret, that I did that to my parents. The way I carried myself, because like I said, I had no right to talk back to my parents or be rude to them whatsoever, just to impress some girl's parents. And thinking about it, it was not worth it. None of that relationship was worth it as well, because it was meaningless. That relationship was meaningless, and part of me wish I was aware about it, and I wish I did, end that relationship sooner, because, like I said, it continued, and during that time as well was the girl always, during that time when I was dating her, she talked about sex and stuff and talking about having children and things like that. And my mind is like, I'm still young. I'm not trying to think about that stuff, knowing that there's consequences. And I didn't want my mind to think that way. I just wanted, continue my life, live like an ordinary kid, finish school and stuff. And the way she was, trying to convince me a lot and stuff. And like I said, she could, in a way, I ended up getting convinced and stuff. But even though I never had sex or anything during that time. And things, I think, messages and stuff. There were those messages going back and forth. And like I said, I did see her, and when I did, when we did talk about kissing and stuff, and in my mind, it was like when I forgot my first kiss, I was very happy. In the way, I was pretty much like, in a way, cheerleading, but like I said, in a way, I was cheerleading and getting, like I said, when I got a kiss and I got hugged, I felt happy about it, because in the end, it's like I could finally find joy, even though this relationship is toxic, but still, you could work things out. But like I said, it didn't, and okay, like I said, and when we talked and stuff, and later on, her parents found out about the messages as well, and they got mad, and they accused me of, all like saying that I was the one that tried to talk to her into this type of stuff, and that that if I do want to marry their daughter and stuff, there are going to be rules. There were going to be rules about that marriage and relationship as well. And like I said, I was so naive during that relationship, because in a way, in my mind, it's like I could do this. I could get married, and I could have a wife, and I could have kids. And at the same time, I didn't think long term too. It's like I don't. In my mind, is I could get out of school and drop out and start working. And part of me is like, in my mind is like I could do this and stuff. Like I said, I was telling myself these things, and my parents saying, "No, don't do it. You don't. You're still young. That you can't do these things. You can't put yourself out there. You can't marry their daughter. because the only thing they care about is money, and they just care about, like in my mind, like my parents were telling me that the only thing they want is money, and they want their daughter to be taken care of my own family, and they don't. In another way, they said they were willing to kick their daughter and let their daughter live with me and my parents and stuff. And not only that, and I told my parents that I could, I could work at a construction, and they laughed about it, and they laughed about it too. My own parents laughed about it, and in the end, they were right. Cause I not always complain about the heat, cause you always see like the weather is hot, always bitch about it too. Like I said, it's not something. In my mind, it's crazy how I always told my parents that I would go to construction and think about it. I would have given up already. I would not handle it. I know deep down I would not have handled it, and I would have hated my life as well. And like I said, I am thankful my parents looked out for me, and part of me is always kind of glad it ended too, that relationship as well. Because who knows where my life would have been if they didn't talk me out of it. And same time, their mom was telling me that if I do get married, my mom has to take care of it, and pay for everything, her school, her college, and everything. And it like just their family, and just like my mind is like, my goodness, they ask too much, and it's like they can't even do that. They can't do that for their own daughter, and they wouldn't want to accept me, and they always lecture me. Yet they still want something out of it, knowing that they were just talking about bad and reckless about me and my family as well. What kind of shit is that in my mind? Is like I said, and I learned a lot too. I learned a lot from that relationship as well. After that relationship ended, in my mind, I didn't want to really date no more, because it was just a very toxic relationship, and I learned a lot from it too. Even though that second relationship hurted me the most, because it affected me after the relationship, things got worse for me in school, and I'll probably will make a video about that as well, because of, like I said, that family just made my life a living hell after that relationship and stuff. In a way, I didn't want to talk to no one anymore. In my mind, like I said, I mentioned before too, that the people I hanged around with too, even though they were already going through trauma and stuff, the only thing they ever knew about me was that my relationship ended and it didn't work out, but they did not know anything else from me. And I wish I did talk to them about my life and talk to them, and they would have understand me more, even though they already did. But sometimes they didn't know me that much of who I was and what I was hiding. And part of me wished that they did, and part of me as well is like, I wish I didn't bring those people down as well. And not only that, in high school, when I went to high school and stuff, I just kept it to myself, never shared anything with no one anymore. Like I said, there's people always wanted to talk to me, find out what was wrong with why I'm the way I am, but in a way, I wanted to protect them. Even though some people I did shove, like when I mean shove, I mean push out of my life. I just didn't want to talk to them. It's not because I hated them or blamed them, I just didn't want them to be hurt. Because like I said, in middle school, I messed up so much. And to any viewers who are watching this, any kids watching this, don't let love blind you, because sometimes it takes us to a dark path, and it makes us, and sometimes we make dumb choices in life that we will regret, and we don't want to be with that partner. Sometimes we don't know, we would never want to be with that partner who is toxic, or a family that can't accept you whatsoever just because of who you are. And like I said, I was someone who they never accepted, and they always thought bad about me. Not only that, he just hated me for a long time, and probably still hates me till this day. Like I said, it was a toxic relationship, and then part of me wish it never happened. Even though there was moments even though those parts of me during that time I was happy a little bit, but it was for short, and that relationship was just temporary. And part of me wish that I did break it off so soon, because in the end, after that relationship, I kept just thinking about her a lot, and so much. I just thought about her so much. And I was like, I got too attached in that relationship, and to me, that second relationship, I felt like it was gonna be the end of. It was the end of the world for me, to be loved and to be cared about, but it's not like that. And anyone, like I said, anyone who's watching this, whether you're a boy, girl, man, or woman, doesn't matter. Always remember this, that just because of breakup and things don't go the way we plan, we can't always think the worst and think that we can never find a partner or a soulmate whatsoever, because there's always going to be someone who is out there. It's just that we sometimes look in the wrong place, and things that we learn, and not only that, we learn from it too, and it just gives us awareness. And I'm not saying every single person is going to be bad and stuff, and I wish I did tell the lady that I did care about too. I wish I sat down with her and talked about my relationship, all my relationships, and the things that have happened as well, because I don't want her to think that her life is over, even though she may be a little bit, maybe like 3 or 4 years older than me, but still, it's never too late. It's never too late to find someone who you could share your life with. And like I said, and kids, like I said, don't ever think that that relationship can take you anywhere, or think that person might be the one, because sometimes it's not always the case that that person that you're always with is the one. There might be someone else, and I'm not trying to think that all your relationships is not gonna end. No, I'm not gonna jinx it or anything like that whatsoever, because it's like, who am I? It's like, who am I to jinx someone's relationship to end? Not only that, I just want to let people know that after that stuff happened, 2023, in a way, some of those traits of that girl did that mess with me anyway. I did in some parts of it in 2023. I did act, those part of me did act like her, and I wish I didn't do that. And that's another thing that I will eventually talk about. Even though I felt like it was a relationship, I felt like that was my third relationship, but it really never was. I ever had 2 relationships. And that's about it. That's the only thing I ever had, 2 relationships. And I haven't dated since maybe 2015 or 16. It's almost like 10 years that I haven't dated. And my mind is like, I know there's always going to be someone for me. And I can't give up. Even though I might not have anyone with me right now, I just know I got to focus on my life as well. And I know that I will find that person eventually. And part of me felt like I did, but just I don't want to give up on that person, because, like I said, there's like some energy that I felt that was very different for me. And when I mean different, I mean good. I feel like peace and relaxed. And hopefully that people can know that experience, what it's like to know that feeling. In my mind, is like, that's the best feeling that any person can feel, whenever they feel like the perfect match, because there's some energy and there's like positive something good is like in my mind is like, wow, I am grateful to meet this person, and hopefully that people do find their match whatsoever. Because I don't believe it. Like I said, I don't believe in temporary, and I don't want to make things all emotional or anything. But like I said, even though the most toxic relationship that I ever had, I learned, and I know I just had to be careful of my emotion and control my emotions. And I know I can't be simping right now, because like I said, part of me with that relationship, I did simp a lot. I'm not a lot. I always got mad, and that part of me is like, that's something I don't like about myself during that time, and I refuse to be a simp, because no one respects simps, and no one's gonna, find that attractive and stuff. Maybe there's women that might like that, do that for them, but in the end, they're not someone that you should be with. And I'm not gonna talk bad about women, because I know there is guys who do that to women, because it mess their emotions and stuff. But in the end, we all make mistakes and we all learn it. And the thing is that I've learned my mistake, and I am aware about it. I'm not gonna think about that girl or her family whatsoever. They can hate me all they want and despise me whatsoever. In the end, it's better to move on than look back and focus on the past. And the reason I share this story is because, in a way, it explains who I was, and why I was quiet, and why I was more rude, and my journey of my life, knowing that it was never really good, but in the end, I learned. And I am grateful that I've learned my mistakes, and I could share with you guys, with anyone who's watching this. I will say that. And always focus on your education, or focus on your work or anything, your career. Never never throw those two things away when it comes to a relationship. Even if you want to work things out, it's not worth to sacrifice things, because there's people I have heard sacrifice things and they regret doing that. And like I said, and I wish everyone for the best. I will say that.